Open with the reality check. At some point, we've all been magnetized to someone who was unavailable, emotionally, spiritually, or even physically. Why? Because your soul is trying to show you something about yourself. Frame it as both a personal reflection and a universal cycle many go through on the twin flame karmic journey. You ever notice how the people you're most drawn to are rarely neutral? They either make you feel alive like you've touched lightning, or they drain you so deeply you wonder if you've lost your mind. That's not random. That's a mirror. When we talk about attracting people we can't love or who can't love us back, what we're really talking about is reflection. These people don't show up by accident. They're mirrors, walking reminders of the parts of ourselves we've ignored, abandoned, or denied. Think about it. The unavailable lover reflects the part of you that's still unavailable to yourself. The person who withholds love. They show you the way you've been withholding compassion from your own wounds. The one who runs every time you get close. Sometimes they're just echoing the way you've been running from your own healing. It feels magnetic because it's familiar. That energy scratches at the old scar tissue, childhood rejection, abandonment, unspoken fears. It feels like home, but it's not home. It's the ghost of an old home you outgrew, replaying through someone else's body. And here's the trap. The mirror doesn't lie, but it doesn't promise permanence either. Just because someone reflects your shadow doesn't mean they're meant to stay. Sometimes they're just there long enough for you to see yourself more clearly. That's why these relationships hurt so much. You're not just longing for them. You're longing for the piece of yourself they reflect back. And until you recognize that, you'll keep chasing mirrors, mistaking reflection for connection. So, the question becomes, are you willing to face the reflection without needing to own the mirror? Because if you are, that's where the pattern starts to break. Not every intense connection is divine. Some are chains, some are lessons, and some are contracts you signed long before you touched this earth. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Not everyone you feel deeply pulled toward is your twin flame, soulmate, or divine counterpart. Sometimes they're a trauma bond dressed up as destiny. A trauma bond is when unresolved wounds, childhood neglect, abandonment, betrayal, lock you into a cycle with someone who triggers those very same wounds. The highs are intoxicating, the lows are devastating, and the more it hurts, the harder it feels to let go. It's not love, it's survival mode disguised as passion. Trauma bonds keep you chasing validation you never got, hoping that this time the ending will be different. Spoiler, it never is. Now, a soul contract is different. It can feel just as intense, but the purpose isn't to trap you, it's to wake you up. You and that person agreed, before this lifetime, to meet in such a way that their presence would activate something inside you. Sometimes that means heartbreak, sometimes it means healing. Either way, it pushes you into awareness. A soul contract isn't about permanent partnership, it's about evolution. The difference? Trauma bonds drain you and leave you emptier. Soul contracts, even when they end in pain, eventually expand you. They pull you into higher self-recognition. One loops you back into the wound, the other catapults you toward healing. And here's where most people get stuck. They confuse the intensity of a trauma bond with the sacredness of a contract. But intensity doesn't equal alignment. Not every storm is holy. If you want to discern the difference, ask yourself, am I growing from this connection or am I shrinking? Because growth, no matter how painful, is the signature of a soul contract. When you know the difference, you stop glorifying the chaos. You stop chasing the storm, and you start asking why the storm keeps showing up in your life at all. So if trauma bonds keep us looping and soul contracts wake us up, why are we still so drawn to the people who can't give us what we need? Why do we chase the ones who run? Here's the thing. Attraction isn't random. That magnetic pull towards someone who's emotionally unavailable, already taken, or simply incapable of loving you back, It's not about them. It's about the wound that recognizes itself in them. Unavailability feels familiar when you've grown up with love that was conditional, distant, or unpredictable. It's like your nervous system is wired to mistake chaos for chemistry. The chase feels alive because it mirrors the survival dance you've been doing since childhood. If I work harder, maybe this time they'll stay. If I love them enough, maybe this time I'll be chosen. But unavailable people are like cosmic bait. They hook you with possibility, but never feed you with consistency. And the reason it feels intoxicating is because your shadow remembers the ache of not being chosen, and it's trying to rewrite that story through them. Except here's the trap. Rewriting your past through another person never works. All it does is keep you addicted to the height of almost. Almost loved, almost seen, almost chosen. That's the allure of the unavailable. It's not love. It's the echo of your oldest wound dressed up as destiny. And until you see it for what it is, you'll keep mistaking the echo for the voice. It's easy to point at the ones who ran, the ones who withheld, the ones who never showed up fully. But what about when the mirror flips? What about when the one who couldn't love was you? Sometimes we are the unavailable ones. Not because we don't want love, but because love requires presence, and presence requires healing. Think about it. Have you ever kept someone at arm's length even when they wanted to give you everything? Maybe you ghosted without explanation. Maybe you stayed in half-hearted, never letting them all the way in. Maybe you sabotaged the very thing you said you wanted. That's not cruelty. It's self-protection. We become unavailable when intimacy feels like danger. When our nervous system is still wired to expect betrayal, abandonment, or judgment, closeness feels like a threat. So we pull back. We run. We hide behind work, behind spirituality, behind timing isn't right. Sometimes we even pick people we know can't love us back because deep down, it's safer that way. If they're unavailable, we don't have to risk being fully seen. We can play out the story of longing without ever facing the terror of receiving. Here's the twist. Being unavailable doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're still carrying a wound that hasn't felt safe enough to heal. It means part of you is still protecting yourself from the intimacy you actually crave. Owning that truth is powerful, because once you admit, yes, I've been the one who couldn't stay. I've been the one who closed off. You can start asking why. And in that asking, healing begins. So whether they were the unavailable one or you were, the pain still points to the same thing. The lesson hidden inside the longing. The mirror is only here to show you where you've been hiding from yourself. All right, so if the mirror keeps showing up, whether through them or through us, what's the point of all this heartbreak? What is the pain actually trying to teach us? Every connection leaves fingerprints on the soul. Some mark us with joy, some with scars, but the ones that cut the deepest are often the ones carrying the clearest lessons. Pain isn't random. It's a messenger. The relationships that don't work, the love that never lands, the constant loop of almost, they're all pointing toward the places inside you that are still unhealed. Sometimes the lesson is about self-worth. Why do I keep settling for crumbs instead of waiting for a feast? Sometimes it's about boundaries. Why do I keep giving more than I receive? Sometimes it's about identity itself. Who am I without the chase? Who am I when I'm not trying to be chosen? These lessons are hidden inside the ache. They don't feel like clarity when you're in the middle of it. They feel like rejection, abandonment, and confusion. But if you can sit with the pain long enough, the truth starts to rise out of it. That's the hidden gift of the ones who couldn't stay. They force you to face yourself, not the polished version, not the mask, the raw, cracked open you. And that's where the real transformation begins. Because the pain isn't punishing you, it's teaching you. The question is, are you willing to stop running long enough to hear the lesson? If this message spoke to you, Don't just sit with it, move with it. Subscribe to the channel because this series is only getting deeper. And if you're ready to take this work off the screen and into your hands, download the companion journal at writeonedigital.com. This is your mirror moment. Don't just watch it, live it.